A month ago, a good friend of mine came to me to ask for suggestions about jobs. Well, this guy used to work as a news reporter, but nobody reads newspaper anymore, so he got fired. He has some skills, good skills, but the problem is he is an immigrant, illegal immigrant. Well, actually, I have a picture of him right here. Yes, Superman. So help me out a bit, right? If you want to recommend some job to Superman, what kind of job would you recommend to him? Well, let's take a look at his skills, right? He has superhuman strength, X-ray vision, super speed. So what kind of job would you recommend to him? Anyone? Yes. So superhuman strength, he can be a construction worker, yeah? Fit for Superman. For X-ray vision, just as you said. Airport security, right? Perfect fit. For super speed, he can be the airplane itself, Olympic, delivery guys for Amazon Prime. 1 minute delivery, yeah? You see, based on his skills, there's so many jobs he can do and probably succeed, right? Now, another friend of mine came with me with the same problems, and she too has some skills. Let's take a look. So she can work in loud noise environment, not a problem. She's a very concentrated person, very focused, and she's an expert in nonverbal communication. Let's try. So if she can work in a loud noise environment, maybe she can work in the factories, maybe, with the machine and all the stuff, won't bother her anymore. She's very concentrated work, so maybe she can do detailed stuff, like graphic design or some handwork, like jewelry. She can communicate afar without using sound, so maybe she can work in a noisy restaurant, taking orders, in a bar, perhaps. So she has skills, and she can do work, right? And I have a picture of her right here. Yes, she's deaf. So what's the difference between Superman and my friend here? What's the difference? The difference is our perception. When we hear the word Superman, we think about the positive stuff, right? We think about his godlike abilities that he possesses. But when we hear the word people with disabilities, we always think about something negative. We think about incapabilities, incompetence, burden, and no, we don't want this kind of person in our team. Right? That's the problem why 73% of people with disabilities in the working age is unemployed. We are talking about 550,000 people in Thailand alone. 550,000 families without any income. And to fix this problem is very easy. We need to change the perception, right? We need to see, instead of seeing their disabilities, we need to see their abilities. We need to turn their disabilities into an advantage so that they can have a job and live a dignified life. Yeah? And the person who does it best, he is my role model, is this guy, Professor X. If these guys can turn a mutant into heroes, turning their difference into a good use, then we too can turn the disabilities into an advantage as well. Can we? But in fact, there's a lot of people around the world trying to do this. So here are some examples. Rising Tide Car Wash. This car wash employed people on autism spectrum. So what's so special about people on autism spectrum? It's because that they love to do structure and routine activities. They can keep waxing on, waxing off your cars all day long without getting bored. And they are perfectionists. So the customers come to this car wash not because of the sympathy for people with disabilities, but they come because clean cars. Many factories in Thailand, like especially jewelry factories, they hire a lot of deaf people because since they cannot hear, they are very focused on the task at hand, which make them an excellent jewelry designer and maker. Blind people are usually good with their hearing, so they are great musicians. So these kind of examples are how we can turn their disabilities into an advantage. It's about the perception. Perception changes everything. And from my 5 years of experience in working in this field, the best way to change someone's perception about people with disabilities is to have a friend who is disabled. And that's the goal of my company, Gong Saw. So Gong Saw, we want to create an inclusive society where people with and without disabilities can live together in harmony. So we do that by designing tools, designing technologies, designing activities to engage people with disabilities back into our social. So for example, our biggest event is Run Together. Run Together is a community of runners with and without disabilities. So somebody might think like, okay, how can running help changing the perception about people with disabilities? So let's take a look at these short videos. Is there any sound? Okay. So that's Run Together. Thank you. We now have 8 Run Together communities, 7 are in Thailand and 1 in Europe. We have 1,500 people with disabilities, and we have over 20,000 guide runners, or people without disabilities. Anyone here is a runner? A few, yeah? Anyone here finished a full marathon? Excellent. Excellent. So far, we have 15 people with disabilities who finished the full marathon or more after 4 years. And they are increasing in more and more. So that's our first project, Run Together. We also use technologies to bridge the gap between people with and without disabilities. We designed an application called Panana, which is a mobile movie narrator for people with visual impairment. So this application enables blind people to enjoy movies with friends, with families, with sighted person, all at the same time. We teach them how to cook because, blind people are very good at their sense of touch and smell. So if they were trained properly, they can be a better chef than any sighted people can be. Now, back to the employment issues. I believe that if we can change the perception we see about people with disabilities, if we can change the way we see blind people or deaf people, but instead we see Wolverine, we see Storm, we see Cyclops, we see the abilities that they have that better than all of us, then the rest is simple. With all the technologies we have, with all the bright minds like you, I strongly believe that they too can be a part of our societies. Thank you very much.